Some people say the New York Jets lost the '67 Eastern Division Championship in Kansas City. The Jets were 5-1-1 when an injury to Emerson Boozer in Kansas City killed New York's running game and eventually their championship bid. But that was 1967. Today the Jets open their '68 campaign in Kansas City with a healthy Emerson Boozer. But New York's running game is only to keep the defense honest so Joe Namath can pass. One of his favorite receivers is number 13, Don Maynard. The 57-yard Namath to Maynard combination puts the Jets ahead 7-0. The Chiefs' offense, basically a power machine, always presents a passing threat. Fred Arbanis penetrates Jets territory. Defensively, the Jets finished third last year. Jerry Philbin catches Lynn Dawson from the blind side, and the Chiefs are forced into a field goal situation. With the ball spotted on the 33, Jan Stenerud, the Chiefs' soccer-style kicker, puts the Chiefs on the board at the end of the first quarter. New York swings back behind Namath's passing. It's a 1-and-1 situation between Maynard and Goldie Sellers, and again Maynard is open. In close, Namath again looks for Maynard, but this time he's well covered and New York will have to try a three-pointer. Jim Turner from the 22. It's good and the Jets extend their lead 10-3. In the closing moments of the first half, Emerson Boozer, number 32, gets his chance to show the Chiefs that his right knee is healed. With less than 2 minutes till halftime, Don Maynard is again matched head-to-head with Goldie Sellers. The 30-yarder gives the Jets a 17-3 lead at halftime. After dominating the first half, New York is forced to punt early in the third quarter to Super Nat, Nolan Smith. The 80-yard run back by Smith closes New York's lead, and so before the successful extra point, the score read 17-9. The momentum of the game is swung to the Chiefs. Boozer loses the ball. Number 22, Willie Mitchell, recovers, and the Chiefs are in position to tie the score. But on 3rd and 7 at the Jets 16, Otis Taylor is stopped 2 yards short of the first down. Rather than gamble, the Chiefs send in Jan Stenerud. The 18-yarder is good, but Kansas City still trails 17-13. Again, the Jets try to change the current of the game, but again there is trouble. Joe Namath's pass is intercepted by Willie Lanier. The third quarter ends with the Chiefs in great field position, but still trailing by 4 points. New York's defense stands firm. Lynn Dawson tries a 3rd and 11 touchdown bid to Otis Taylor, but it's too high. Jan Stenerud is sent in to salvage the drive. But the three-pointer still leaves the Chiefs trailing by 1. The Jets must now move the ball. Namath connects with his tight end Pete Lamons when the Chiefs start doubling up on his flanker. Kansas City continues to double-team Maynard, so Namath again goes to Lamons inside Chiefs territory. On 3rd and 1, Boozer to his left, but the lateral movement gives Buck Buchanan time to sleeve tackle Boozer for a loss. The key play of the game, the 42-yarder by Jim Turner, gives the Jets a 20-16 lead. Now New York must stop the Chiefs from scoring a touchdown. With only minutes left, Dawson's third down pass is broken up by Johnny Sample. Jan Stenerud's 28-yarder is good, but still leaves the Chiefs 1 point short as the Jets play out the clock and hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season. In 1967, the Jets' title dream died in Kansas City. This year, it was reborn there.
If their 1968 season was to end in a dream, the Jets had to face reality in their very first game against one of the league's best teams, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Jets would beat the Chiefs in a close game, a game that was virtually a mirror image of their entire season. Joe Namath and his superb corps of receivers would provide many of the points. When Namath could not throw touchdowns, Jim Turner's field goals would often be the winning margin, as they were today. The defense would prevent even the best offense from scoring touchdowns. The Chiefs scored none. And finally, the ability of the offense to control the ball late in the game, as they did for 6 minutes against the Chiefs, would secure many victories. Victories that eventually would lead New York to the summit of pro football.
Boston and New York, the two leaders of the Eastern Division, met in Birmingham, Alabama on Sunday. The Patriots had an upset in mind as they went after their second win. Crown the Jets can mean only one thing. Stop Joe Namath, the premier passer and super idol of the New York Jets. Boston's quarterback, Mike Tolliver, once Namath's understudy, led a precision passing attack early in the first quarter. But not precise enough. Randy Beverly picked up this pass on the Jets' 32 and returned it 68 yards for the first score of the game. After a Boston field goal, the Jets still led 7-3. Late in the first period, Joe Namath scored his first touchdown on this 39-yard perfect pass to Don Maynard. The Jets led 14-3 at the end of the first period. New York added a field goal, and Boston tried to come back with a bomb. But number 22, Jim Hudson, intercepted. Emerson Boozer, number 32, immediately put the Jets into Patriots territory with a 33-yard sweep. On 3rd and 9, Namath aimed for Boozer, but Boston's Don Webb broke it up. Jim Turner saved the drive with a field goal. Turner would make 4 in all against the Patriots. The Jets now led 20-3 late in the first half. Boston's offense sprang to life on a 70-yard touchdown combination from Tolliver to a wide-open rookie named Aaron Marsh. At halftime, the Patriots only trailed 20-10. Early in the third quarter, Namath threw in dangerous territory. Number 70, defensive end Mel Witt grabbed Namath's pass and jogged over from the 4. Boston only trailed by 3 points. But then New York's defense stiffened, and Boston was forced into a punting situation. Again, New York's defense came through. Bob Scarpetto's punt was blocked by Paul Crane. Mark Smolinski fielded the loose ball and scored easily. New York's defense had now outscored its famous offense 2 touchdowns to 1. But Boston's coach Mike Holovac could care less if it were New York's offense or defense that was scoring. Either way, the Patriots were in trouble. Then Namath tied his own team's defense by scoring New York's second offensive touchdown on a 27-yarder to Pete Lamont. The deluge was on by the fourth quarter as Emerson Boozer set up another Jets touchdown. From the 1, Boozer went over, and the Jets led by more than 3 touchdowns. Boston fought back to the end. A fumble return scored 1 touchdown, and this 44-yarder from rookie Tom Sherman to Jim Coleclaw set up another. From the 1, Gene Thomas leaped over for the final score of the game. But it was a decisive 47-31 victory for the New York Jets. Once again, New York is the early front runner in the Eastern Division race, and the pressure is on Weeb Ewbank to keep them there. Joe Namath had one of the worst days of his career on Sunday against Buffalo. The Bills intercepted 5 stray passes and returned 3 of them for touchdowns, setting a new AFL record. They stunned the Jets with a ball-hawking defense and dealt them a costly defeat. The game between the Bills and the Jets marked the first time Dan Dara, Buffalo's rookie quarterback, faced the heralded Joe Namath and his New York Jets. It was also the home debut of Harvey Johnson, Buffalo's new head coach. The Jets got off to a fine start when number 45, Earl Christie, a 5'11", 195-pound speedster from Maryland State, dashed down the sidelines for an 87-yard return of the opening kickoff. On the third play from scrimmage, Joe Namath tossed a 4-yard touchdown pass to number 83, George Sauer, whose catch made it 7-0. New York soon had possession again, but the Bills struck quickly. On 3rd and 15, Tom Yannick intercepted a Namath pass and returned it 37 yards. A few plays later, Bruce Alford, who was signed on Saturday, kicked a 35-yard field goal. A revitalized Buffalo offense marched downfield and scored on a 2-yard plunge by number 33 rookie Ben Gregory. This score made it Buffalo 10, New York 7. Midway through the second period, Dan Dara fumbled and gave the Jets control at the Buffalo 9. But the Bills secondary again came through. Tom Yannick made his second interception of the day as he snuck in front of Curly Johnson and turned a near Jet touchdown into a blazing 100-yard interception that made it 17-7 in Buffalo's favor. New York was in trouble, but they began to fight back. Matt Snell, who had an impressive 124 yards rushing, ran 60 yards on a draw play to the Buffalo 1. A few plays later, number 32, Emerson Boozer, with a great second effort, made it 17-14. With a minute left in the half, Bruce Alford kicked a 41-yard field goal to make it 20-14. But 40 seconds later, Joe Namath hit number 13, Don Maynard, with a 55-yard bomb to give New York a shaky 1-point lead at halftime. As the second half began, Jet coach Weeb Ewbank knew his team needed more points. The Bills proved that when Namath was cracked by number 58, Mike Stratton. This fumble set up Alford's third field goal, a 37-yarder that put Buffalo back in the lead 23-21. Early in the fourth quarter, Buffalo ruined New York with two quick interceptions. The first came when number 42, five-year man Butch Bird, stole a Namath pass and raced 53 yards to the end zone. A minute later, number 24, Booker Edgerson, intercepted a fourth Namath aerial and turned it into a 45-yard score. This put Buffalo ahead by 16 points. Matt Snell gave the Jets a little hope as he ran 39 yards through the middle to the Buffalo 3. Namath then lofted a short pass to Snell, who made a great one-handed catch in the end zone. This brought the score to 37-28 with 10 minutes left. The Jets came back again, but the drive was killed by Buffalo's fifth interception. Butch Bird grabbed his second steal of the day on an overthrown pass intended for George Sauer. The Jets came back. With less than 2 minutes left, they blocked a punt by number 55, Paul McGuire. Two plays later, Namath hit George Sauer with a 10-yard touchdown pass to make the final score 37-35. That was Namath's fourth touchdown pass of the day. But Weeb Ewbank could only think about the 5 interceptions as the Bills left the field with an astounding upset under their belts.
Three weeks later, the Jets opened their home season against San Diego before the largest crowd in AFL history. Again, they faced one of the league's strongest teams on a night that often resembled a graceful yet violent ballet. The Jets trailed by 4 with 5 minutes to play. Joe Namath took over for one last drive. Though he would fail to throw a touchdown in this and the next 5 games, his passes to valuable swingman Mark Smolinski set up the running of Emerson Boozer, who finally scored with 1 minute left. But it was left to Johnny Sample and the defense to preserve victory. The Jets had again beaten off a strong challenge with defense and ball control, the stuff of which champions are made. But the Jets had lost 2 of 5 games thus far, and the Astrodome became the setting for a crucial contest with Houston. Last year, the Oilers won the Eastern title by 1 game over New York with a strong defense. Today it was the Jets' defense, led by John Elliott, that was to shine under the artificial sky of the Astrodome. Shut out for 3 quarters. Houston rallied, however, and took a 1-point lead with 4 minutes to play. Namath once again had to engineer a time-consuming drive downfield. With 50 seconds left, Matt Snell finally scored. And the Jets had achieved another last-minute victory that propelled them into a division lead they would never relinquish.
Inconsistency puts egg on the brightest faces. Going into the 1968 season, the defending champions in the West, the Oakland Raiders, were picked to waltz easily to the Super Bowl. That prediction was made pre-season. In the East, the Houston Oilers, although not a consensus favorite, were expected to make a respectable showing. That, too, was pre-season. The New York Jets were the Oilers' greatest threat, but the New Yorkers also proved inconsistent. So when the Jets visited Houston's Astrodome, each side could predict the outcome, and then only hope. Unyielding defense told the story in the early going of the biggest showdown to date in the Eastern Division. The Houston Oilers held Joe Namath and company to a surprising 33 yards in the first half. And likewise, New York held the Oilers to a mere 29 yards. When quarterback Bob Davis did get the ball off, things didn't go any better for him. This late second quarter interception by Randy Beverly set up the Jets' first scoring opportunity. Namath's third completion out of 12 attempts found George Sauer at the Houston 1-yard line, where Namath then went over for the touchdown. New York went for the 2-point conversion and succeeded. And with an early safety, the Jets led at halftime 10-0. But this lead seemed destined to fall when the Astrodome turned into a giant pressure cooker. The game could have been iced in the third quarter, but Mr. Receiver, George Sauer, proved he really is human after all. Houston's Bob Davis was hurt in the last quarter, and that brought on reserve quarterback Don Truell, number 10. And the performance he turned in, to say the least, was astonishing. Instantaneously, the Oilers moved for the first time in the contest. Truell had been in these situations before, but never had Houston produced these results. Alvin Reed caught Truell's first touchdown, and the Jets' lead was narrowed to 6 points, and Truell wasn't through yet. A roaring crowd of 51,000 saw Truell give a repeat performance as he connected with split-end Jim Byrne with 4 minutes to go for a touchdown that suddenly gave Houston a 14-13 lead. Up until now, Coach Weeb Ewbank could have been as successful throwing as Joe Namath. But that was up until now, and that was before they really counted. Trailing by a point with minutes remaining, Namath methodically moved the team upfield with simple sideline passes to Sauer. And then got an extraordinary assist from Emerson Boozer, who carried the ball past midfield. Namath then coolly defied Houston's defensive right side and the clock by running the ball and not once calling a timeout. Boozer and Matt Snell carried inside the 2. And with 48 seconds to play, Snell followed tackle Winston Hill and Emerson Boozer through the same hole for the winning touchdown that protects the Jets' one-game lead in the Eastern Division.
Against Boston, the Jets enjoyed their first real breather of the season. The defense caused 8 turnovers and set up half the touchdowns in a 48-14 rout of the Patriots. Against Buffalo, however, it was not the collective legs of the defense that would give New York its 6th victory, but rather the strong right leg of Jim Turner, who kicked 6 field goals today and went on to kick 34 for a pro football record. Turner's adept right leg earned him the league scoring title with more points than any pure kicker has ever recorded.
Déjà vu is a French expression used to describe the feeling of having been somewhere before, like you have already seen the thing you're seeing right now. For the New York Jets, the feeling of déjà vu must be very strong. At midseason last year, the Jets were leading the Eastern Division. At midseason this year, the Jets are again leading their division. But last year at this time, everything went kaput, and the New York Jets lost the title in the second half of the season. This year, the Jets are out to prove that history does not repeat itself. In the battle for the lead in the East, there seemed to be absolutely no way Boston could hang on to the ball. They had 9 turnovers, which made them mad enough to pound dirt. And the vaunted Boston defense was virtually ineffective, as Jet running backs number 32 Emerson Boozer and number 41 Matt Snell consistently broke tackles for extra yardage and points. Boston quarterback Mike Tolliver had a day he'd probably like to forget. He was thrown for losses 7 times for a total of 50 yards. He also threw 5 interceptions. This one to number 62, Al Atkinson, on the Jet 4-yard line. Despite their many miscues, Boston trailed by only 10 at the half. Not satisfied with sporadic imperfection, the Patriots became consistent in the second half. R.C. Gamble dropped a punt, and number 47, Billy Johnson, paid for that mistake. Tolliver began celebrating Halloween a week early as Jet defenders number 46, Bill Baird, and number 24, Johnny Sample, came up with the tricks and Tolliver dispensed the treat. Although Joe Namath was passing well for the Jets, not one of their 6 touchdowns came through the air. Matt Snell blasted in from the 1. Babe Pirelli, who led the Jets to 4 touchdowns, rolled around in to give New York a 27-0 lead. The Patriots changed quarterbacks. Number 14, Tom Sherman, replaced Tolliver, but stuck with the same strategy. Give the ball away and let the Jet runners tire themselves out. But fullback Billy Joe, number 35, was tireless. Performing like an egg beater going through whipped cream, he scored 18 points to tie a club record. Late in the 4th quarter, the Patriots finally got on the board. Twice. Sherman's pass to Bob Scarpetto accounted for 1 touchdown, and an 87-yard pass, the longest scoring pass in Boston's history, to Jim Whalen, made the final score 48-14. The question of who is best in the East has been answered. There is only one question left. Why is this man smiling? In New York, the Jets met a determined Buffalo team who, with nothing to lose, put all their chips on the table. Joe Willie Namath may look like Ivan the Terrible, but neither he nor the rest of the Jets could intimidate the Buffalo Bills. Number 18, Kay Stevenson, was starting only the 2nd time since his high school days, and he was hot. Rookie of the Year Haven Moses was a terror in his own right as he gathered in Stevenson's pass and bolted 55 yards for a 7-0 Buffalo lead. The same play from the top camera gives a good idea of how easily Haven outruns the defenders. Although number 12, Joe Namath, was firing well to his excellent receivers, number 13, Don Maynard, and number 83, George Sauer, the Jets' offense did not score a touchdown all day. The Bills allowed them only 110 yards rushing and consistently forced them to go for the field goal. However, the Bills themselves got only 62 yards rushing, as they rarely found room to run. Fortunately for the Jets, their defense was not opposed to grabbing 6 points, as Kay Stevenson threw 3 interceptions, 2 to the Jets' number 24, Johnny Sample. And Johnny on the spot turned one of the thefts into the lone Jet touchdown to give them a 10-7 lead. Despite Namath's accurate passes to George Sauer, despite a rare appearance of last week's shattering running game, despite magnificent hands, the Jets were forced to settle for a field goal by number 11, Jim Turner, when they could not bring it in from the 9. Turner's field goals gave them a 16-7 lead at the half. In the third quarter, the Jet runners were again buffaloed, and laboring under the assumption that half a touchdown is better than none, they put the long, lithe leg of Jim Turner to work again. Performing like a Radio City Rocket, he kicked them long, he kicked them short, he scored 19 points, set a record for the most field goal attempts, 8, and tied a record for the most successful attempts, 6. And he did it with a pulled hamstring. Trailing 19-7 in the fourth quarter, the Bills delved into memories of September when they upset the Jets 37-35. And they came stampeding back on Stevenson's passes to number 28, Richard Trapp. Stevenson then linked with Paul Costa, number 82, for a touchdown. Costa's first of the year as a receiver. Jet fans were stunned less than 2 minutes later when Haygood Clark sprang loose for an 82-yard punt return and a 21-19 Buffalo lead. This was Clark's first touchdown of the year. Unfortunately for Buffalo, bad breaks in Joe Namath were able to bring the Jets close enough for Jim Turner to kick the Bills' hopes down the drain. Turner's 2 field goals in the closing moments forced Buffalo to go for the desperation touchdown. But like September's memories, time was fleeing, and the Bills' effort fell short. The 25-21 win keeps the Jets alone at the top in the East.
The Jets next faced a rematch with the Houston Oilers in a downpour at Shea Stadium. It was really no contest. Number 51, Ralph Baker, led a defense that by now had established itself as a formidable obstacle, one that Joe Namath said eased his burden tremendously. But Namath continued to guide the Jets well. His strategic passing, 4 Turner field goals, and the running of Bill Mathis produced a 26-7 victory. Last year, the Oilers eliminated New York on the final day. Today, in only the 9th week, New York had all but eliminated them.
The Houston-New York game was billed as one of the biggest this year in the Eastern Division, but it turned out to be a rain-swept and wind-blown shellacking. This was the 6th game in a row that Joe Namath failed to throw a touchdown pass, but this time it didn't make any difference. The Oilers were no match for the Jets, as Namath, despite the weather, was able to come up with a big pass every time he needed it. On the second play of the game, he threw to Don Maynard, who picked up 19 yards. Then he found number 83, George Sauer, for a 43-yard gain to the Houston 5. Bill Mathis, who has been with the Jets since they began 9 years ago, hopped over from the 1 to make it 7-0 New York. The Jets got the ball right back, and Matt Snell flew over the right side on a draw for 38 yards. This run set up Jim Turner's 14-yard field goal, which made it 10-0. Turner, who leads the AFL in scoring, kicked 4 field goals today for a total of 10 in the last 2 games. Oiler quarterback Don Truell, a star in recent games, looked like a different man. Bill Baird's interception paved the way for Turner's second field goal, a 32-yarder, which jumped the score to 13-0 New York. Then Houston got back in the game. Hoyle Granger showed why many defenses key on him as he blasted through the middle on a draw play and made a brilliant 47-yard touchdown run that put Houston only 6 points behind at the end of the first quarter. But Namath soon came back on the field, and he started a game of catch with George Sauer. He hit the glue-fingered end twice in a row for big gains. The second pass was good for 24 yards, and it set up Turner's third kick of the day. This one was from 28 yards out, and it put New York ahead 16-7 at the half. The groundskeepers put on the only halftime show, and it wasn't very successful. But as the weather got worse, the New York Jets got better. Pete Beathard came in at quarterback for the Oilers and threw to Woody Campbell. Campbell deflected the pass, and Ralph Baker, a 5-year man from Penn State, intercepted. Namath stepped in and tossed over the middle to Bill Mathis for a 27-yard pickup and a slide in the mud. Then Mathis went over from the 1 to make it 23-7. The Jets added one more insult in the fourth quarter as Namath connected with Sauer for 40 yards. This gave New York the opportunity to bring on Jim Turner one more time. His 21-yard field goal was the final tally of the day. With this 26-7 victory, the Jets all but clinched the Eastern Division crown. The Oilers left the field with very little chance to win anything more than second place. For 58 minutes and 55 seconds, Oakland and New York slugged it out toe-to-toe until the Jets gained a 32-29 lead on Jim Turner's field goal. And not even the Shirley Temple Film Festival will prevent us from showing you what happened up to and even after that. Well, here they are. From New York City, Joe Namath. And from Oakland, California, Daryle Lamonica. Both these quarterbacks performed as champions in perhaps the finest and roughest game of the year. Lamonica's strategy was basic. Control the ball with deliberate short passes to his backs and ends. Billy Cannon demonstrated this theory perfectly early in the game. Joe Namath wanted to run his club in the early going, but found all avenues blocked. So he had to do what he does best, throw the long bombs. This one was incomplete, but it foretold of things to come. With seconds remaining in the first half, Namath threw to George Sauer, but pass interference was ruled one of 19 penalties called today. After the penalty break, Namath fooled everyone by running himself for the touchdown. The halftime score was New York 12, Oakland 14. The Raiders lost the ball, and now the Jets could take the lead. Rookie defensive back George Atkinson was having his troubles with the Jets' fine receivers, and Namath knew it. So he and Don Maynard picked on him until they scored the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter. Oakland was now behind, and they just could not afford to be behind this late in the game or this late in the season. Fred Biletnikoff led a march that culminated in a game-tying touchdown. Through 4 quarters, the teams had battled. And now it was all even, 29-29. With less than 4 minutes remaining, it was a whole new ball game. But Namath and Maynard still worked on Atkinson, but more importantly, they were working on the clock. The Jets used up 3 minutes of time before Jim Turner set up for a field goal. The Jets led again, 32-29, with 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining. What transpired from here was unfortunately not shown to the nation's television audience. After returning the kickoff 22 yards, Charlie Smith, number 23, sped 20 yards closer. A costly face mask penalty moved the ball to New York's 43-yard line. Oakland's next play was to be their biggest of the year. With 42 seconds left, Charlie Smith put Oakland ahead. And in a replay, we can see how he did it. Mike D'Amato was forced to cover Smith, and it was no match. Oakland's own Charlie Smith had given the Raiders a 4-point lead, and now the Jets had a chance to come back. Veteran Earl Christie lost the ball, and Preston Reidelhuber, number 37, recovered in the end zone for another Raider touchdown. Preston expressed the joy of all Oakland fans. In an astounding game, it was finally New York 32, Oakland 43.
Monica to Charlie Smith. Smith is hitting, and he scores! What a game! This crowd has gone absolutely berserk. Twice the Raiders have looked beaten, and rookie Charlie Smith, who's put on quite a show, has just grabbed this one. And now Oakland has the lead 35-32 with 42 seconds. But the Jets still have Namath coming back. That makes it 36-32. But now the Jets receive. The last two times the Jets have had the ball, they've marched right down for scores on Namath's passing. Namath 17 for 35 today, 342 yards. LaMonica is 20 for 32 and 251 yards. They squib this one to prevent a run back. Earl Christie fumbling it around. He fumbles the ball, and Oakland has it for a touchdown. Oakland has scored 2 touchdowns in 9 seconds. Oakland now is kicking off after the penalty on the extra point. They're kicking off from the New York Jet 45. It just might be that Eichel will kick this ball over the goal line. He might boot it into the seat. And he does. It bounces out again. The Jets will never lose a more heart-breaking game than this. They had this one right in their hands with 1:05 to go. They kept coming back and coming back. They scored with 3 seconds to go at the end of the half. They were behind, took the lead. Oakland went ahead. The Jets came back again to take the lead. Dave Pirelli's the quarterback now. Boozer fumbles the ball. Ben Davidson has him, and Davidson bulldogs him down. Ben Davidson, number 83. This one's about all over, 15 seconds. We'll have a quick sign-off here. We hope you enjoyed the game. We'll be in San Diego next Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, with the Jets against San Diego. This is Kurt Gowdy, and a great job today by Al DeRogatis. And that's it. The final score Oakland 43, New York 32.
But it was fitting that 2 weeks later in San Diego, a city with a history of champions, the Jets would clinch their first title ever. Their 37-15 victory over the Chargers was a culmination of all New York had worked for. They had held the most explosive attack in the league to 200 total yards, while they themselves had racked up over 500. Namath was again throwing touchdowns, and this 87-yard scoring pass to Don Maynard was the longest in Jet history. 4 days later, the Oilers lost to Kansas City, and the New York Jets became Eastern Division champions.
The New York Jets were 6-point underdogs when they suited up to face the San Diego Chargers on the West Coast. But the Jets made San Diego into the underdog in the Western Division race. You can't give all the credit to the Jets for their win. San Diego sometimes played like they weren't even there. The glue-fingered receivers of the San Diego Chargers became completely unglued against the New York Jets. Passes and patterns were being executed as well as ever, but sure hands became unaccountably stiff. And if the Chargers weren't dropping passes, the New York Jets secondary was simply stopping them before they got there. Even San Diego's elusive runners became quite available to the Jets' quick defense. New York really didn't even need a rushing attack, with Joe Namath hitting number 13, Don Maynard, with frightening accuracy. This 87-yard scoring play frightened the Chargers early in the game as New York took a 10-0 lead. However, the Jets were not flawless. Number 41, Matt Snell, forgot to turn, and Namath was dead on target. But where the Jets' mistakes were humorous, the Chargers were not. The Jets and Matt Snell opened the second quarter with their second touchdown of the game and led 17-0. The Chargers' response to New York's lead was not very effective. Although this time the Chargers defense foiled the Jets. But how do you foil number 11, Jim Turner, the league's leading scorer, whose 3 field goals in this game gave him the pro record of 31 in a season, and there are still 3 games to go. San Diego's answer to the Jets' 20-0 lead was characteristic. However, this time, the Chargers stopped New York outside of Jim Turner's field goal range. So the Jets were forced to punt. Number 45, Speedy Duncan, almost fumbled the ball. New York will wish he had. It was love and kisses for the Chargers, now trailing 27. But Joe Namath did not let them long enjoy their laurels. Namath threw a perfect strike to a wide-open Bill Mathis, and that was about all she wrote for the first half. The Jets led 27-7. Which was painful for some to believe. The Chargers' offense in the third quarter was like the Chargers in the first and second. The game's strategy seemed to be give the ball away, let New York score, and hope Speedy Duncan will return the kickoff for a touchdown. Namath and Maynard obliged by taking the Jets to the one on the last play of the third quarter. The Jets started the fourth quarter the same way they opened the second quarter, running for a touchdown. Bill Mathis scored for the second time today, and New York led 37-7. Speedy Duncan did not return the kickoff for a score, but he didn't have to. All of a sudden, San Diego came alive and drove 80 yards for a touchdown. But it wasn't easy. On 4th and 2 on the Jets' 3-yard line, John Hadle found Jack McKinnon. The Chargers made a 2-point conversion, but it was far from enough. The sign signifies a San Diego touchdown, but it may symbolize San Diego's title hopes. The 37-15 drubbing by the New York Jets puts John Hadle and company in trouble. They are now a full game behind the Raiders and the Chiefs. Who knows? The New York Jets may have sent San Diego to the showers for the 1968 season. This is the situation in the American Football League with 3 weekends remaining. In the Eastern Division race, the New York Jets are leading the Houston Oilers by 3 games, which means that the Oilers must win their 3 remaining games to be tied with the New York Jets. Should the Jets win at least one of their 3 games, they will win in the East. Now, in the West, it's a bit more complicated. The Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs are tied with a 9-2 record, and San Diego is a half game back with an 8-3. Now, the Chargers have a bit of a problem in the Western Division race. They must play Denver. In addition, they must play Kansas City and then Oakland. They have to win all 3 for there to be a 3-way tie. Should either the Oakland Raiders, the Kansas City Chiefs win all of theirs and San Diego lose one, there would then be a 2-way tie. So it's still a toss-up in the West. In their first game as Eastern Division champions, the New York Jets showed why they deserve that title. And although the Dolphins enjoyed their share of success, they were playing with a time bomb. Joe Namath passes to George Sauer, number 83, and Don Maynard, number 13, who went 54 yards for a touchdown, gave the Jets a 7-3 lead. The bomb continued to tick as number 26, Jim Richards, returned Larry Seipel's punt 37 yards, and Joe Willie passed to Pete Lammons, his tight end, for the touchdown. A second look at the scoring play gives a good example of Namath's ability to perform under pressure. But Miami did not handle the time bomb any too gently, as the running of number 21, Jim Kick, set up the defense for a Bob Greasy to Gene Milton touchdown, which made it 14-10 at the half. In the third quarter, the Jets did not score, and the Dolphins continued to handle the bomb as if it were a dud. Greasy's running and his pass to number 35, Stan Mitchell, set up Jim Kick's plunge, which put the Dolphins ahead 17-14. Afraid that the cold had stiffened Namath's knees during the long Miami drive, Coach Weeb Eubanks sent in Babe Pirelli, who had the blasting cap that set off the jet explosion. New York scored 21 points in 6 minutes. Two touchdown passes went to Don Maynard. The second score was set up by a Miami fumble. In this game, Don Maynard passed Baltimore's Raymond Berry and established a career receiving record of more than 9,300 yards. The Jets' last score came on a juggling catch of 40 yards by Bake Turner, number 29, as New York rolled over Miami 35-17. With only 1 week left in the season, it's interesting to look back at the beginning. New York, with the Eastern Crown secure, made two key trades from their division rivals, Boston and Houston. Babe Pirelli left Boston without a tried quarterback, and gave New York a great backup for Joe Namath and a field goal holder that has helped set a pro football record. Bob Talamini, an all-pro guard from Houston, has helped turn New York's pass blocking into something phenomenal. And with only 1 week to go, these two factors are still winning for the Jets. Although the outcome of the Jets-Bengals game was not unexpected, there were a few unusual happenings along the way. Number 87, Bill Peterson, picked up a block punt and stormed to the Jets' 2-yard line. It was surprising that in 4 plays, the Bengals could not bring it in for the touchdown. But maybe it wasn't so unusual after all, because the Jets' defense did seem to be getting some extra help. It was surprising that a veteran such as Babe Parilli, number 15, would try a quarterback sneak from his own 2-yard line and neglect to hang on to the football. Number 76, Jim Griffin, recovered for the Bengal touchdown. Cincinnati's number 38, Estes Banks, ran extremely well and averaged almost 9 yards per carry as the Bengals outgained the Jets on the ground. Number 58, Al Beauchamp, came up with the game's only interception, and this led to a Paul Robinson touchdown. Robinson, number 18, became the 3rd rookie in AFL history to run over 1,000 yards in a season. Despite Beauchamp's interception, there was no way the Bengals could stop Joe Willie's passes. But a great measure of Namath's success was due to his outstanding pass protection. As usual, he hit his 2 accomplices, number 83, George Sauer, and Don Maynard, number 13, in accounting for 2 Jet touchdowns. Near the end of the game, the numbing cold started to affect the ball handling. The Jets overcame this by sending in red-hot Babe Parilli, who passed to Bake Turner for the final Jet touchdown and a not unexpected 27-14 New York victory.
Joe Namath and his teammates entered the AFL Championship as underdogs to the Oakland Raiders. But the Jets were a proud team, and they remembered an earlier game in Oakland that came to be known as the Heidi Bowl. In that game, Namath had passed and run his team to an early lead. But Darryl LaMonica had also been sharp, and the lead changed often until the Jets led by 3 with 1 minute left. Then TV gave way to a little girl. Only Raider fans would be able to enjoy the unbelievable finish that ended in a victory for Oakland. was 6 weeks ago and 3,000 miles away. Today in New York, Heidi would not interfere. It was a windy day, and both coaches wondered if their explosive offenses would be able to score at all. They were almost right. Only 2 touchdowns were scored by halftime.
Let's get on the board! Watch the throw! Sack it to him! Nothing! Come on!
The Jets took a 13-10 lead into the third quarter.
All right, off defense, just keep your poise now.
The defense kept its poise.
Jump!
They stopped Oakland on a goal line stand that resulted in only a field goal and saved 4 points. Then, late in the third quarter, Coach Eubank called for some strategy.
How about a cue, run the guy into that toss-up, then go to the sideline.
Come on, Joe! We can do it again! Dig it out, baby!
The strategy worked to perfection.
He's in there! Touchdown! Touchdown! Big Green, get him, Big Green!
But Oakland took the lead in the final quarter. Namath had 6 minutes to regain it. With 2 passes to Maynard, he did.
Come on, baby, our game, let's go!
Come on, let's get the first down.
There was time enough for Oakland to move the ball to the Jets' 12. Then came the play of the year for New York, a play worthy of repeating. A pass thrown behind an imaginary line. Out of thousands, 1 play, and an AFL championship.
Congratulations. Oh, you son of a gun, boy. Great guy. I'll tell you. Good to get it. That's happy for you, Come on, come this quick. Absolutely. It's quick. 4 years. You know, you think it took a long time coming. 4 years. You want to win every year, first year on. Nothing else matters to me. Winning, whether I catch 1 or 10. Nothing else matters.
Let it hard out there. Let it hard. Let's go.
All right, off defense, just keep your poise now.
John Rouch coached the most prolific offense in pro football. He would have liked to have scored early. But the Oakland Raiders found it impossible to do anything in their first offensive series as New York's defense dealt them a telling psychological blow in round 1. Like a school of sharks, the Jets' offense struck swiftly as Oakland had been stopped. Joe Namath to Don Maynard for a first down. Matt Snell over left tackle for 6. Namath to Maynard again, 14 yards and a touchdown. On the play, Maynard had been aided by his own muddy field. Defender George Atkinson slipped as Maynard made his cut, and the Jets flanker made the catch unmolested. It was quick and it was easy, but it would be their only touchdown for nearly 3/4 of the game. Oakland's second series was as fruitless and as frustrating as its first. Dropped passes would not be uncommon. Freezing temperatures and 50-mile-per-hour gusts made it difficult for either team's receivers to hold the ball. Yet fate somehow dealt the Raiders more than their fair share. A pass that tipped off the hands of Fred Biletnikoff was one in a series of near misses that would haunt Oakland long after the final gun. This attempted field goal that followed was yet another. The rest of the first quarter was a struggle for both teams, characterized by grudging defensive play and the inaccurate passing of both quarterbacks. The teams exchanged the ball 8 times and could collectively muster only 2 first downs. Through all the wind-blown passes and flying bodies, it was evident that the Raiders were flat. They were playing as dead as this punt that rolled to a halt deep in New York territory. From here, late in the quarter, Joe Namath went to his ground game in hopes of adding another touchdown to his 7-0 lead. But after Boozer and Snell took him to the Raiders' 25, Namath's arm betrayed him. The Jets would have to settle for a field goal from Jim Turner and a 10-0 first quarter lead.
I slipped. That's all right, you made it. But he kicked.
20-yard run with a flare pass. Biletnikoff again broke loose in the secondary for the Raiders' initial score. A repeat of the play shows Biletnikoff's pattern contained neither great moves nor great speed. All he did was avoid an attempted tackle and an attempted trip by two Jet defenders, neither of which seemed to faze him. Down by 3, the Raiders had finally seen their first ray of sun. A completion to number 83, George Sauer, did keep the drive going. But on a third down play, a pass to tight end Pete Lammons fell far short of a first, and Jim Turner had to salvage the drive with a field goal. The Raiders were now confident that even when Namath was on target, they could prevent him from scoring a touchdown. Broadway Joe would ultimately shatter this confidence. But here marked the beginning of what was to be the key to defeat for the Raiders. Their inability to cross the goal line once inside the Jets' 20. This was the first of 5 such opportunities in the game. All but one would fail. George Blanda's field goal made it 13-10 with only minutes left in the half. Used mainly as a decoy until now, Wells then turned receiver on the next play, and the Raiders would have a 1st and goal on the 6th. But the Jets' defense refused to budge. Jim Hudson made 3 straight tackles, and the Raiders could move only to the 2. Now, midway through the period, Coach Rouch refused to gamble on 4th and 2. Blanda's field goal tied the score at 13. The rest of the third quarter belonged to Joe Namath. On a brilliantly executed, time-consuming drive that would take 7 minutes, Namath engineered his team 80 yards to a touchdown. How did he do it? Namath did it by making 4 crucial third-down plays to keep the drive going. He first hit Emerson Boozer, sprung free by Sauer's screen block for 12 yards and a 1st down. He then utilized the running of Matt Snell, who gained 25 yards on this drive and made the 2nd crucial third down play. He took advantage of a play that almost ended the drive, a near interception. He hit John Maynard on a 3rd and 9 play with a perfect pass, good for another 1st down. And finally, he made the big play, the touchdown. Again on a 3rd down call. A flat pass to tight end Pete Lammons, who rolled into the end zone and gave the Jets a 20-13 lead at the end of the third quarter. first time since early in the game, Joe Namath had shown how devastating he and the Jets offense could really be. On the last play, Sample went for an early fake that allowed the Raiders receiver a step. But Sample made a good recovery after the catch to prevent a touchdown. Then it would happen again. For the third time in the game, the Jets defense met LaMonica's challenge and denied the Raiders their goal line. The tragedy for Oakland on this third down play was that Wells had sneaked free behind the secondary, but the pass instead went to Dixon and was easily batted away and almost intercepted by Jim Hudson. The Jets gave up 3 points but had prevented 7, which must have disheartened the Raiders. Namath then made his only mistake of the game as he was intercepted by George Atkinson. Only a rare tackle by Namath himself saved the score. Namath's mistake on the pass was obvious. He hung the ball up a hair too long, and Atkinson had a good angle to easily steal the pass away from Maynard. This time, the Raiders made good their challenge. Pete Banaszak sliced through the line and into the end zone. The decision not to use Banaszak more often in the game hurt the Raider attack. He demonstrated a singular ability to break tackles, and here gave Oakland their first and last lead of the game, 23-20. Joe Namath awaited the ensuing kickoff with anticipation. He had 8 minutes to regain the lead. It would take him exactly 68 seconds. Earl Christie's return set Namath up at the 32-yard line. First and 10, George Sauer on a quick sideline pattern for a first down. On the play, defender Willie Brown was protecting against the long pass, and Sauer easily made the catch. Then it was Don Maynard's turn. Maynard made a great over-the-shoulder catch 52 yards away, and the Jets were suddenly at the Raider 12. Maynard appeared to have bobbled the catch, but a replay will show that he did have possession for the required length of time on a magnificent effort that set up the winning touchdown. Namath refused to probe the defense. He went directly for a score. Seeing George Sauer covered, Namath slipped, regained his balance, and fired a rifle pass to Don Maynard through 3 defenders for the crucial touchdown of the game. Namath and Maynard have proved themselves as poised a combination under pressure as the AFL had ever seen. But again, they could not unlock the door. On 4th down and with 6 minutes to play, Rauch this time chose to disdain the field goal. The strategy backfired. The man who made the last play was Verlin Biggs, number 86, who came crashing in from the right to end another Raider threat. Passes to Biletnikoff and Wells, plus a piling on penalty, gave them a first down on the 12. LaMonica called for a flare pass to set back Charlie Smith. A good call in this situation, but the play was executed poorly. Considered a free ball, but not advanceable, the Jets took possession at the point of recovery, and with it took the last real hope of victory from Oakland. At 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, a champion was crowned. The Jets had closed the door on Oakland's offense when it had counted most, and well deserved their first league title. For the Raiders, it was a heartbreaking loss that would be remembered for a long time. But as the sun began to fade behind Shea Stadium's west wall, others would remember a game that produced pro football's world champion.
The third annual Super Bowl was supposed to be a farce. The so-called experts had given the Jets 2 chances of winning, little and none. But they had forgotten something. They forgot to tell Coach Weeb Ewbank. They forgot to tell a cool and confident Joe Namath. And they forgot to tell the New York Jets. The experts said Jim Turner's toe would fail him in the big game, but nobody told Turner, whose 3 field goals were the margin of difference. The experts said the mighty Colt defense that some thought was football's best in a decade would chew up the Jets' ground game. But nobody told Matt Snell, who with outstanding blocking racked up 130 yards and scored the game's first touchdown. The experts said Joe Namath would be lucky to escape alive from the Colts' front line, and his receivers too nervous to catch his passes. But nobody told Namath, whose quick release and accurate throws to George Sauer completely fooled the blitzing Colts. And finally, the experts said Earl Morrall and the Colts' passing attack would burn the Jets' weak secondary into the Orange Bowl ground. But nobody told Sample, Hudson, Baird, and Beverly, who with great pressure from the front line were able to make 4 key interceptions that were in fact the difference between defeat and a 16-7 victory. Neither the razzle-dazzle of Earl Morrall nor the appearance of John Unitas could change the result. When time had graciously run out on the once invincible, now bitterly disappointed NFL champions, experts said they had witnessed the greatest upset in sports history. But Weeb Ewbank felt differently. He had said it would be a simple matter of poise and execution. The Jets had kept their poise and executed flawlessly. Now their season-long goal was no longer just a dream. Later, the feelings of an entire team were expressed by a man who came to the Jets only last summer, guard Bob Talamini.
I will say this to everybody. We're humble winners. I think the NFL should be humble winners also. I'd like to think that this will bring all of football closer together, because if this does anything, this will solidify the thinking of the public that football is football, the American League and the NFL can be mentioned in the same breath.
40 men, a coach, and a goal. For 7 months they had labored, and now the fruits of their labor had brought them to the top. The New York Jets were pro football's world champions.
Gentlemen, it's my honor to open today's welcoming ceremonies for our conquering team. And it is a privilege, on behalf of the greatest city in the world, to pay tribute to the greatest football team in the world, the New York Jets.